You're right guys, Gary aka Hopeless back again. In this video I'm going to be doing two things. One is I'll be painting this Cavalier Bard from the Animal Adventure starter set. This is Elvis. Looks quite nice. And the second thing is I will be trying out my new Pro Acryl range. I got the complete set, all the bases, all the expansions, all the metallics, all the washes, or transparents as they're called. So yeah, we'll see how I got on with that. Lessons learned, mistakes made, it's all good. As always, if you do find this video entertaining or informative for some reason, do leave a like, let me know what you think down below in the comments, and subscribe for more. So let's get on with this. Back in a sec. As always, I started with a black primer and then Zenithal highlighted with white ink. To be fair, I did all of these in a batch, not really thinking that I wouldn't be using as much contrast. So yeah, this is using the ivory white on the fur, and going over the patches with mahogany brown. Now I was trying to use a picture as a reference for all of this, which I will pop up here. Trying to go for a bit more of a realistic theme. I think it came out quite well. Well, as well as you can be with a dog dressed as a bard. Trying to get all the markings to look right. Or at least look real. Then I realised I'd painted over his eyes, so I tried to do the eyeballs with bright ivory white. This took a couple of attempts, and I did have to go back over facial markings with the mahogany to tidy up my mess. But it's all good. For this model, I decided I was going to focus on one specific area first before moving on, so I wanted to try and get the fur looking right. And that also gave me an excuse to try out a bit of dry brushing on the ears. First off, I used light umber, and then followed up by using burnt orange. For the tongue, I used magenta, and yeah, it's a nice pink. I thought about using pale pink, but that was a little too light, but I think this one looks good. And then I realised that the eyes on these models are too small for me to really even attempt to paint, so I just got a really small fine liner. This is a 0.01 black fine liner, and just did a dot in the middle, which I then realised was not waterproof after the next stage, so had to do this twice. Here we go. For the nose, I used coal black. Nice and in focus there, that's what I like to see. And then I tried to make a wash. I didn't really know what the transparents did, so I had to play about. And yeah, transparent black and a bit of water. Nice little wash. I quite like it. So I washed over all of the fur and facial features, just to sort of try and bring out some of the detail. Maybe next time I might use the brown instead though. And then I started moving on to his clothing, and to me, the Bard wants to be noticed by friend and foe alike, so I wanted to try and make his costume as garish and brightly coloured as possible. Obviously there were some mistakes made towards the end, which you will find in a minute, but I started off by using turquoise. And I think that actually looked pretty good, and knowing how it came out, I'm sort of undecided with whether I should have kept with the turquoise and not done the wash over the top, or, you know, carried on. 50-50. What do you guys think? Moving on to his shirt, I used orange. Admittedly, I tried this twice. I did have to redo the sleeves with white just to, well, basically make the orange not look so patchy. Like I say, lessons learned. Moving on to the hat, I used a nice simple purple. No real reason, I just like purple. For the leather wrappings, or the bindings, or whatever you want to call them, the leather bindings around his legs, I used golden brown. Now I'll admit, I did not expect this to come out as pale as it did, but I kinda like it. And for the leather straps around the rest of the body, I used dark golden brown. Now this was a sort of colour I thought was the normal golden brown would be. Dark golden brown for the leather wristband. Or wrist guard, whatever you want to call them. I noticed that he has a few bags and sort of little straps hanging off of him. And I wanted to just play about for a bit. So I mixed a dark umber and bold titanium white together, and admittedly this came out a lot brighter than I thought it would as well. I was expecting sort of a light brown, not a grey. It was weird. First potential mistake, I forgot to thin down the transparent green I'm using on his tunic, which pretty much obliterated the turquoise underneath. I figured I would roll with it and see how it ended up. I kind of like it, I kind of don't. I think this will be one of the main things I would have done differently if I'd known what I was doing, which is always good. Moving on to the orange shirt again, I used transparent orange and a bit of water mixed in to make another wash, and I'm actually really happy with how this one came out, because it brings out the shirt quite nicely, I think. Yeah, like I said, quite nicely. That turquoise. The turquoise and the green, though, I don't know. It's been a couple of days and I still don't know. Going back to the bags, I got the transparent black and water wash out again. And I'll admit, I do quite like that. Moving on to the feather in his cap, I wanted the brightest possible colour up there, so I went with bold pyrrole red. I've had this colour for a while. It came with one of my model boxes, and I've sort of used it very sporadically, mainly for just testing things. Quite like how it came out. And I also did the little, I don't know what to call it, button behind the bone on his hat as well. Starting to move on to smaller details, I did copper over the handle of his sword on his back. I do like the metallic range from Pro Acryl. And then for the sheath of the sword, I went with their silver. Not really much else to say, it's silver. It's good. I like it. And then going back up to the sword handle, I realised there was a binding around it, so I got the turquoise back out because, god damn it, I wanted something to be turquoise on this. And then nearing the end, I got the rich gold paint out, and I went over the buckles on his belt and hat, and the buttons and trim on his coat tunicky thing, and a couple of small details on his sword as well. With the model pretty much finished, I then thought about trying something new with the base itself, and I've had these tubs of AK Interactive terrain diorama textures for a couple of months and I've never got round to using them, so I figured, what the hell, let's give them a shot. So this is the wet ground. I put a bit on and then tried to use a cocktail stick to smooth it round, and then followed that up with the light and dry crackle effect. Paintbrushed it on, and then again cocktail stick again to try and mix it in a bit. As much as I love these models, they do come all in one piece, so didn't really fancy trying to cut that off the base to do this. When that dried off, I wasn't particularly happy with the wet ground. I mean, it looked good, it just wasn't really for this model, so I put some super glue over the top and got what I like to call my random dirt. It's basically the sand and dirt bits that I've collected from other models into one pot, and it's starting to look nice. Mixture wasn't entirely accurate. Quite a few of the big bits just fell off, so this turned into mainly sand. But again, lesson learned. Don't try to experiment. Joking about that. Experiment all you like. I love experimenting on these things. So when that all dried and I realised how god-awful it looked, I just got some transparent brown and started dabbing that over the sand and base. I'm going to admit, I covered this up in as much tuft as I could. And with that, tufts are your friends in this situation. Well, it helps if your super glue isn't running out either. This was the first time I've used Pro Acryl properly. the first time I've used the texture stuff for the base. Like I said at the beginning, lessons have been learned. I've got a few ideas on what to do differently, but overall, I'm quite happy with it. I quite like how the gold trim came out on his coat. The green has grown on me, but I think if I did this again, I would have kept with the just turquoise, nice, bright colour that it was. Yeah. Elvis the Cavalier Bard from the Animal Adventures starter set. Looking good. What do you guys think? Would you have done anything different? What would you have done different? Would you have kept it the same? Let me know down below in the comments. As always, if you did like what you have seen, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you want to come back and see some more things of this. I've got a few more of these left to do. Plus, I've got a lot of other things that you've probably seen in background shots on the desk. In any case, thank you so much for watching the video. My name is Gary, aka Hopeless, and with a bit of luck, I'll see you in the next one. So until then, see ya!